Lyle Carter didn't buy the house on Carson Hollow Road for some dreamy retirement or spiritual reset. He bought it because it was practical. 35 years in framing and residential builds had left his back in revolt and his patience worn thin from flaky clients and missing subcontractors. He needed stillness, not sentiment. The house itself was nothing flashy, a sagging ranch-style structure at the dead end of a gravel fork. But the porch was red oak. The lot was unincorporated. And more importantly, no HOA was listed in the deed. That detail sealed the deal. Lyle had no interest in arguing about mailbox colors or lawn lengths. He'd seen too many friends bullied by phony neighborhood boards looking to wield power they never earned. So he worked. Quietly. Cleanly. Replacing beams. Leveling the foundation. Rebuilding the rear shed with reclaimed oak he'd salvaged from a barn in Boone County. He wasn't the neighbor who made waves. He waved when waved at. Didn't blast music. And never left trash out. He kept his tools stacked. His lights low. And his head down. The first sign something was wrong came in the form of misplaced screws. 3. Exactly. Placed deliberately on his welcome mat. Same gauge. Same thread as the ones he'd been using on his porch joists. It wasn't carelessness. It was a message. Then, on a muggy Saturday morning, they arrived. 2 people. Matching navy polos. Embroidered silver badge, Carson Compliance Initiative. One was a wiry man with designer shades. The other, a bulldog of a woman holding a clipboard like it was a weapon. "Sir," she said, her voice devoid of humanity. "You are in breach of front-facing uniformity protocols due to unapproved structural modifications." Lyle blinked. "Who are you with?" The man smiled with dead eyes. "We represent the Carson Hollow Oversight Board. You were annexed by vote under Ordinance 12F last fall." Lyle nearly laughed. "There was no vote. No board when I bought this place. You were opted in automatically due to plot alignment," the woman said, flipping her pages. Lyle stepped between them and his toolbox. "You can't just walk up onto someone's property and start throwing around rules." The man moved closer. "We need you to discontinue all unauthorized work. For your safety." He reached for Lyle's arm. That was a mistake. Years of navigating unstable beams kicked in. Lyle ducked, grabbed his aluminum ladder, pivoted, and swept the guy's legs out clean. He hit the deck hard. The woman shrieked like a pressure valve blown wide open. "You want to leave now?" Lyle said calmly, gripping the ladder like a halberd. They left, muttering words like assault and escalation. They didn't call the police. They didn't have that kind of power. But they weren't finished. The next morning, a polished aluminum sign appeared, bolted directly to his fence post. Community Structure Monitoring Zone. Beneath it, noncompliance may result in procedural enforcement. Lyle unscrewed it and chucked it into the woods. Then came the letters. Legal-sounding nonsense. Fines. Voluntary cooperation pathways. Threats of liens. None of it official. No stamps. No government seals. Just intimidation tactics dressed up in jargon. He called the county. They had no idea who the group was. The clerk laughed and said, "That ordinance doesn't exist." Then he called Lee Russo, a property rights attorney known for smashing fake HOAs. That night, someone entered his yard, moved his sawhorses exactly 1 foot forward, like a ghost measuring something. He started documenting. Photos, logs, cameras. They escalated. A burned piece of cedar from his lumber pile showed up in a police evidence bag, dangling on his shed latch. Inside was a drone photo of his roof. No note, just surveillance. He moved his mattress into the windowless back office and wired his property with motion sensors and floodlights. One night, at 4:17 a.m., the west sensor tripped. 3 figures in dark clothing crept along the tree line. Lyle hit the lights. The backyard blazed like a stadium. They froze. One fell. It was the same woman with the clipboard. He called the sheriff. By the time the cruisers arrived, she was limping, claiming it was a compliance check. They weren't buying it. She was arrested on the spot. Criminal trespass. Property damage. Violation of court protection. Within 72 hours, Lee Russo filed for an injunction. They traced the group to real estate shell companies. The initiative crumbled. Bank accounts frozen. Subpoenas flew. Lal didn't celebrate. He sat on his porch, watched the road, rebuilt his porch beams with silent purpose. Neighbors nodded at him now, not with sympathy, but with respect. Not because he won a war, but because he didn't let someone else tell him how to live on land he built with his own hands.